Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial, we're trying to see how to use ChatGPT to help us to do exploratory data analysis, right? So ChatGPT is going to be like our assistant, and we'll be combining the ideas from ChatGPT together with human intelligence. Okay, so let's see what I'm doing. So the data set we'll be trying to analyze is coming from here, which is this Consumer Complaints Dataset, right? So it is a very huge dataset that is used to help companies respond to consumer issues, right? So that is the main idea, and you can also check it out by yourself and then download it. It's quite huge. You can check it here. Okay, so what I've done is that I've downloaded the data and I've minified it, and this is the data, right? So based on my own understanding of and exploring of the data, I have some questions that I want to ask. So as you can see from this data set, we have the date column, we have the product, the sub-product issues, we have some company public response, company state, zip, and the rest, right? So based on this, I know that we have some questions we can ask. We can ask questions about the type of product and how many different types of product. We can ask questions about the issues, the types of issue. We can ask questions about the type of company, the city or the state. We can also ask which state has the highest amount of product. So there are a lot of questions you can ask from this, right? So I don't want to do it by myself. I want ChatGPT to see the data and then generate the questions for me, right? So these are my questions, and the goal of this data set is that we can use it to do prediction, right? So we can predict the related product of a compliant using the products and the compliance. So that is test classification. We can do sentiment analysis. We can do test generation. We can also do some other interesting predictions, right? So based on my own exploration, I've seen that we can answer these questions, like how many products do we have, questions on the state, question on the dates, question on the companies. Let's test the limit of ChatGPT. So I'll go back to ChatGPT, right? And then I'll just ask it a question. So the question I'm going to ask is, so given the data set below, can you provide, let's give it 25 questions about this data set, right? So that's the question. So given the data set below, can you provide 25 questions about this data set? And it's telling me that, okay, I will need to show him the specific data set. So I'll just go back to here, and I'm going to pick the first, let's pick here, right? You want to pick up to number, let's pick the first 5. Testing the limit to see if it will be smart. Just the first 5 columns. So I'll copy this, and then I'll go back to here. So here's the data set. Just paste it, and let's see. So based on the data set provided, wow, that's interesting. You see the questions it is generating. What is the date on which the first complaint was received? Wow, that is quite impressive. I just gave it the data set, and now it's giving me questions that I can ask about this particular data set, which is very, very cool. That is quite interesting, right? So it's saying that please note that these questions are based on available information in the data set. So let's explore it. So what is the date on which the first complaint was received? What type of product does the first complaint pertain to? These are very interesting questions, right? Which company is the subject of the first complaint? Very cool, right? Let's ask it again to not just give us this data, but we want to provide the code for it, right? So can you give the code? Oh yeah, the code for each question in Pandas. Oh yeah, with Pandas in Python. This is what I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to tell you to give the code, but I don't want to just get the code. I want it to put the code. Let's try it first. So it's doing it right. Wow, amazing. It's giving me an example of how I'll use Pandas in question to answer each of the following questions. And amazingly, you can see that it's picking the question. So what is the date type, and gives the Pandas way to solve it, which is very impressive, right? Wow, it is quite impressive. So based on this code, I can answer the questions that it provided. and it's using ilog for all of them, which is quite interesting, but we can do better. So after that, you just ask it to do another stuff. Perfect. So it came to up to 18. So what I want to do, that it is cool, it is quite interesting, but it's giving me only ilog, right? But I want other forms of functions. So I'm just going to tell it to convert the data into a table. So can you convert the data set into a table? So let's see, which is very useful. This is one of the things that I'm surprised of how it's able to do it. Okay, no, that's not what I meant. Yeah, so I'm just going to say convert the given data into a table. So I'll just go back again and I'll copy my table again. So let's make it 10. Yeah, I'm going to copy this 10 here, the first 10 or first 9. Let's make sure that is the right one I'm copying. So you're copying the first 9, and then I'm just going to let it convert it into a table. So let's see if it will work. Wow. So it's converting the entire stuff into a table. So, and the reason why it is failing here, right? The reason it is failing is because of how I formatted it, right? That's why it's failing. But it's amazing how it's able to do this. So let's stop and then let's go back again and then refresh the question, right? So we can even go back, and what I want to do is that I want to let it become better, because this is not the best option. So I'll tell it again to copy the entire data set here, and I'll tell it to giving the data below, can you convert it to a nice format? So now, yeah, so I'll just pass in the data set here, and now let's see whether to understand it. Perfect. See, now it's picking the data set and then it's converting it into a table. So let's see. Wow, that is quite interesting. And it's putting everything into its right column. And this is something that is amazing. I wonder how it's able to do it. I always wonder how it's able to do this. So it takes some time for it to finish, and then after that I'll ask it again the questions, and then we will see another step that we can do with it. Perfect. So that's finished. So I'm going to say okay, thank you. Then can you, yeah, so this one I'm going to say give me questions or 25 unique, these are questions about the dataset for exploratory data analysis, right? In Python with Pandas. That's not the only thing. And then convert each question. No. So, and then their code, right, in Pandas. So let's see. So it's going to give me 25 questions. And now this time it's going to not just give me the questions, but also going to give the code, right? Perfect. So how many unique products are registered, and it gives me the code, which is very interesting, right? That is very, very important. What are the top 5 most common issues reported? So this is totally different questions from the previous one that we had. So based on how you answer your questions or you ask your questions to give different results, which is quite interesting, right? So how many complaints have timely response? This is something I did not think about. Wow. So it is giving the question together with the code, right? Which is very useful. Wow. Okay, so after we are finished, we are going to now convert this entire stuff, right, into a JSON file and save it. Wow, that is quite impressive. We can also ask for, okay, that since that's finished. Okay, great. So can you convert it to, can you convert it to JSON? So let's see if it can convert the entire questions to JSON. So it's converting this to JSON, but that is not what I want. I want it to pick the question together with the code into JSON, right? So can you take the questions and the code into a JSON format? Example, right? I can give it example. So something like this. So I have the question, then the pandas code, something like that, then let's see if it will be able to do that. Okay, so now it's going to pick the question and then it picks the question and then it picks the this is quite interesting. It picks the question and then it puts it into a JSON format, right? So we have the question here and we have the JSON also here, like the pandas code here, and this we can use it as a tool for building a quiz app in case you want to build a quiz app in Streamlit or in Flask or Django, in which you have the question, then you have the pandas code as what the user has to enter to check whether it's correct, which is quite interesting. And this is quite easy for you to use it anywhere, right? I can just copy it and then use it in the future. This is impressive. Wow, that is quite interesting, right? It's quite good. So I can just copy this one and then I can put it inside a JSON file. So let's open another JSON file and put it there. So we can now, so that you notice that it did not complete with this, right? So let's take this one off and then I'll ask it to continue from there. So let's go back. Can you continue from here? And one of the things I've noticed, I don't know whether it's a bug, is that if you ask it to, can you complete instead of continue from here, where you stop. So let's see, the stop is wrong, but it will understand it. And now you can see that it's adding the last one to it, which is quite interesting. If you say continue, it will fail with it will continue, but it will fail with the formatting, right? So most of the time I prefer to say complete than continue. Wow, which is quite interesting. Someone will ask, how are you going to execute it? Yeah, there's a way you can also execute it. And you can ask ChatGPT to help you with that. Perfect. So just finish. Almost done. So once it is done, I'm just going to pick these ones and then use it in my Jupyter notebook, right? So these are some of the questions we asked of for my own. So what product the complaint is about. Like how many products do we have and how many different types of product. Which products have the most complaints, positive and negative. Let's see if there's something about complaint. So what's the average number of tags per complaint? How many complaints were submitted through the web? What is the most common public response? How many complaints belong to? Wow, which is quite interesting. This is one of the questions I would have asked. How many product, or where is it? How many companies? Which companies has the most complaints? Which company has the most product and life, different product? So there are a lot of things you can do with it, right? And with ChatGPT, you can learn more, right? I can also ask it that, okay, picking only the column. So yeah, so using only we want to pick one of the columns. The column that we want to pick is that we want to pick this column here, which is here. Apologies for it being long. This column. Let's say we want to pick the the company public response or the issues, right? Yeah, the issues. What are the questions we can ask concerning the issues? We can also put it there. Create the issues column. What are some, or let's not use the issues column, but let's use, using only the issues column. What are some NLP tasks we can do in Python with their code? Let's see if it would help us. So we are picking only the issues column, which is mostly test, and then it's going to tell me the things we can do with it, which is quite impressive, right? So test classification, this is what I can do with it, and this is picking the data, and it's giving us the code. Test classification, this is what it can do. This is very, very impressive, right? It is super impressive. And then sentiment analysis, which is something that if you go back here, there was one of the things we could do with our data set. We could also do sentiment analysis, right? And now ChatGPT is telling me, okay, I can do sentiment analysis with it. Wow, and it's also telling me I can also do named entity recognition with Space U, which is impressive. Wow. Here are just a few. Wow, that is quite interesting, right? So you have seen how you can use ChatGPT as an assistant to help you make your work easy as a data analysis, or as a data analyst, or as a machine learning engineer, right? So the best option is just give it the data, then you ask it questions, mostly with the code. And one of the questions I want to ask is that I want to also get the visualizations of it. So can you provide the questions with their data visualization code in Pandas, and let's say matplotlib, and let's go with matplotlib, Seaborn, and Plotly. Yeah, Plotly. For each question, right? In JSON, as before. Yeah, my question is too big, but it will. Let's see what you do. Apologies for the question. Wow, so he said it can't generate it, yeah, because the question was too much, but it's giving the question. So count the number of compliance. It gives the matplot code, which is very, very impressive, right? What are the top most common issues? It gives the question, the code, and then the plot, right? How does the distribution of timely and untimely response compare? It gives the question, the code, and then the plot, which is impressive, right? This is very, very, very impressive. And again, I don't think it's possible to get it in JSON because of how the format is going to be, but this is quite great. Wow. So let's say awesome. Yeah, the best. Yeah, let's pump it a little. The best, right? You can also add more questions to it. So, but that is something that I wanted to let you know that it's possible with ChatGPT. It is not coming to replace us, but it's going to be used as a tool to make our work easier and cool. Right, so let me see if it will work. So I'm just going to copy this, and let's try this one in our data set and see if this one works, right? Because sometimes you have to check if the code works. So we have our data set. I want to check if it works. So let's copy this, and I want to check and see if it works. Pick this one, and then let's see if the plot works. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's giving us a very nice plot, which is interesting. Very cool, right? You can also check the other plots. Wow, this is something. How many? Wow, this is something I did not think about. Let's see how it will go on with this code. So let's run it. This is using the state alone, but I wonder how it's going to generate the plot. Whoa, this is impressive. Wait, this is quite impressive. Wow, this is so impressive. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's making our work easy. There's also another tool which is called Pandas AI, right? Which you can check about. It's called Pandas AI, which you can also use to do the same thing, right? The same thing I'm doing, but I prefer to go straight to ChatGPT and get the questions like that, right? So that is something that I want to explore with you. I hope you have learned something. So thank you for watching. You can also pick this ones that we had, these questions that we had. So let's pick from here, and then we will use it later on in the future to do some cool stuff. So let's copy it and I'll paste it here because it was where it ended. And then we have it here, right? We have it in the format of a JSON that we can execute, right? Perfect. So thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you have learned something. I hope you have seen some ways we can use ChatGPT to do exploratory data analysis as an assistant, right? See you another time. Stay blessed. Bye.